Dan Shonka, welcome back to Tuscaloosa. I hope you're doing well, sir.
I am, Ryan. How are you today?
Well, we're still sort of recovering from Monday night, to be honest with you. It still sort of hurts a little bit here in T-Town.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was, it's tough when you have a game like that against two great competitors, and it's just, hey, you look back and say, what if, and I know Coach Saban isn't like that, but, I think all the fans and people out there just, are wondering, hey, what one play or what is the difference that, this one little thing could make. And, but it's certainly one of those, but hey, I tell you what, Alabama is it's not over for them. Next year it's just kind of reload. And, I would think that they're going to be at the top again next year.
When you look at producing pro players, is there another program right now in college football, and maybe some that you've been a part of, you've been in this business a long time, that is producing players like Alabama's been able to do the last, 6, 7, 8, 9 years?
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially people that can come in and start for you right now. I mean, it's really not any one position, with the exception of probably quarterback. But, you got the running backs, and you got offensive linemen, and, of course, defensive linemen and linebackers are just crazy. And then, of course, all those defensive backs are just, out of sight. So, no, I don't know anybody that's even close right now.
Well, speaking of quarterback, I'm just curious, where do you put the value of A.J. McCarron? I mean, he's had a chance to prove that he can play it at that next level. What's the buzz around A.J. McCarron? Are you hearing any pre-draft talk?
Yeah, well, now that, of course, you bring out the exception to the rule. He's the Alabama quarterback that has been doing well here over the last few years. So, yeah, I tell you, I think that, free agency could be good for him, because in the opportunities that he's had to play at Cincinnati, he's done well. So, no, I think he's on a lot of teams' radar in regards to, maybe throwing out a trade or seeing what's going to happen, down the road in the near future in free agency.
Do you think he could be a starter at the next level? I mean, do you like what you see in skill set?
Oh, yeah. I want to tell you have to remember, there's probably only, 15 to 20 quarterbacks that you feel, if that many, you feel pretty good about starting. And there's 32 teams, so there's 12 jobs out there that they're looking for competition and looking for the best guy out there. So, yeah, I think there's probably an opportunity for him somewhere.
Let me ask you, when you look at these Alabama pro prospects, I know we've talked about Jonathan Allen, but it's been about a month and a couple of weeks since the last time we spoke. I'm just curious, who is the number one Alabama guy coming out of this year's class? You could put the early enrollees now. We've got Cam Robinson, Marlon Humphrey, and ArDarius Stewart. We can throw their names in the hat. Who is that number one Alabama guy?
Oh, I mean, Jonathan Allen's been my favorite player for 2 years. I mean, I was sick that he wasn't in New York for the Heisman. I mean, when you talk about, the Heisman's supposed to be for the best football player. Well, he was one of the best 3 football players out there, and certainly we thought he was. You always look at those skilled guys. People always look at the skilled players because they follow the ball and they see that all the time. And I always like to look at the tush hogs down inside and the guys that do all the work and get beat up and are bloodied and got the tape hanging, from their hands and the tough guys. And I tell you, Jonathan Allen is good or as tough as any of them. So, I mean, he's my favorite Alabama player. But I tell you what, I bet you're going to have to think long and hard before you know who. Well, I tell you what, I got 2 other favorites, and I bet you couldn't get 2 or 3, number 2 or 3. If you want to take a guess.
Okay, I'll take a guess. Any chance Dalvin Tomlinson's one of those guys?
Oh, I tell you what, I really like him a lot.
Okay.
I like him a whole lot, but he's probably 4 right now.
Okay. All right, let me take another jab at it. Ryan Anderson?
Yep. Ryan Anderson. I want to tell you something. Everybody talks about all the other players, and rightfully so. Reuben Foster's a great player. I mean, he's one of my favorite guys, too. I mean, I like Reuben. I think he's a tremendous football player. And like I said, Thompson, I really like him. But, every time I watch Ryan Anderson, I'm wondering what people are missing. I mean, to me, he's one of those former giant-type linebackers that play a Sam linebacker and just be an all-pro guy. And I think Ryan Anderson, if he goes to the right system, he's going to be an all-pro linebacker. I mean, I really, really like him. But there's another one. There's another one.
There's another one. Okay.
Number 3.
Okay. Let me think. O.J. Howard?
Oh, I love O.J. too. Everybody loves O.J. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. But yeah, I like him too.
Oh man,
but he's not the one I'm thinking of.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I guess we could say Tim Williams possibly. No, I mean
he's in that. He's in the mix, but he's not the one.
Well, there's so many here at Alabama. All right, Dan, I'm just gonna give up, man. You got to give me the answer.
All righty, I tell you what, it's the guy that came out today, ArDarius Stewart. I really like that guy. I think he's going to be one of those kind of guys that people, hey, there's tons of receivers in this draft that came out, but you know what? He's a guy that every time I watch Alabama film, just like on, it's stuff he doesn't when he doesn't get the ball. He's an excellent football player, and his hands. I mean, when last year when he was a sophomore, he was just out of sight. And I probably looked at, I want to say 12 Alabama films, if not more, this summer and this fall. And he was always, he'd always jump out. Man, there's 13, there's 13, there's 13, there's 13. He's all there. There's 22. Hey, 54 this year. Man, he was. I'm looking at all these other things and people are talking about all these other defensive linemen. I'm going, let's see, where's Tomlinson at? And he's the guy that you talk about absorbing the blocks, keeping people off Foster, and just being that blue collar, dirty player, just down there and dirty, and So yeah, that was a very good yes on your part, Tomlinson, because I don't think anybody probably likes him right now like we do.
Yeah, and Dan Shonka right now, ourlads.com. I want to go back to ArDarius Stewart because, to me, when you put the football in his hands, he's like a running back with that physical style of play that he brings to the football field.
Yeah, and that's what I always like, those run after catch guys. Certainly when they look like a running back after they catch the ball, and you know what? He tracks the ball really well over either shoulder, so he doesn't have any blind spots. He's a very competitive guy. It kind of, he just reminds me. I mean, he's one of those kind of guys that I would love to have on my football team, and a great competitor. And like I said, I think a tremendous football player, and he's gonna, he might. There's so many receivers, as you know, Ryan, this particular draft, but he's a guy that I think is going to really get in there and not only he's going to contribute. I think before we even knew he was coming out, I had him 12th out of all receivers. There's always 30 or 35 drafted. I had him 12, but I want to tell you something. He's going to move up that chart, I believe, because you're talking about guys like Mike Williams, Corey Davis, the speedster Ross out at Washington, and Smith Schuster, and Samuel at Ohio State, and so there's quite a few guys out there. But you know what? I can see Stewart leapfrogging about 5 or 6 of those guys and get up in the top 5 or 6 receivers in my mind, and that's So I think you're right. He's a terrific receiver.
Well, and another part about it, I mean, you've led me into a conversation. One of the things that I like about these wide receivers is they never complain. You're breaking in a quarterback right now, a true freshman, and at times he struggled to throw the football. These wide receivers did whatever it took to win a game, and they never complained about that. That's pretty cool, and I'm sure Nick Saban would have ripped him if they would have complained. But they did what they had to do. Like guys like Eric Dieter. It was a killer blocker down the field that did whatever this team needed him to do.
Yeah, I tell you what was impressive about Dieter. Now, Dieter's going to play in the East-West game, by the way, and he had a great career up at Bowling Green, transfers to Alabama with all those 5 4-star receivers. I mean, Ridley and of course Stewart and that group of guys, and he goes in there and contributes, which to me was very impressive, and I think he's going to impress people at the East-West, and I think he's going to, it really helped him tremendously because he kind of got lost in it a little bit at Bowling Green up there with, being in the MAC. But he came down and did an excellent job and was, being a first-year guy, learning the offense and everything was tremendous. But you're right. I mean, he's that blue-collar, tough guy that, hey, I think we talked before, Ryan, tough, smart guys play in the National Football League, and he's one of those guys.
This is a negative question, and I don't want it to sound like it is, so I'm going to try to sugarcoat it a little bit. Cam Robinson made a lot of mental mistakes. I mean, there was a lot of false starts, a lot of holding calls on him. Is he still valued at the same place that he was prior to the season?
I think, I'm going to say no, because one thing that got me this year, not only those mental mistakes, one thing that bothered me was he was on the ground a lot. And, you can't be on the ground. And what happens is with Cam, a lot of times after his first initial move, he narrows his base up and gets his feet tight. Like if there's trash around you, there's guys all the time getting blocked down or a defensive lineman that gets, he's in the way or what do you want to say around your feet. Well, real good offensive linemen don't get tripped up by that. They're able to get through that trash and move around, and they don't get narrow based on you late. And that's the thing that really bothered me about Cam. I mean, you look at him on the hoof, walking off the bus and all that stuff, you're going to say, wow, that's what a first-round, defense or offensive tackle looks like. But besides, the mental mistakes on jumping, and getting the illegal procedures and things like that, him being on the ground is the thing that's bothersome to me.
Do you see him as a first-round guy?
I think, why I think he's going to go in the first round, is because this is such a poor year for offensive tackle. This might be as bad a year for offensive tackles as I've seen in, I can't remember when, Ryan, to be honest with you. And then, the Rams, that kid came out of Wisconsin, and he's got some talent, but he's only been a 1-year guy there, redshirt 1 year, came in from a Division III school, which really doesn't mean anything other than everybody in the world missed him, but he's a good player. Bowles, a tough kid out of Utah, is up there. He's just a Mauler-type guy, but again, 1 year at Utah, came in from a junior college. And then, you're talking about a bunch of just kind of blue-collar, nothing special kind of guys, and Big Banner from Southern Cal, and McDermott from UCLA, and Biswanowicz from Pittsburgh, and and then another guy in Alabama, but he's not at the University of Alabama, is the guy that I think got great potential, is Antonio Garcia from Troy. But I know this is not a good. So Cam's going to go. He's going to end up going in the first round because I want to tell you, there's 32 coaches out there that I can make this guy a great player. So yeah, he's going to go in the first round.
Dan, I got a couple of questions right here at the end. Let me go to Marlon Humphrey. What do you value in him? What do you see in Marlon Humphrey? I know he declared today, redshirt sophomore.
Right. Well, the thing is, I wish he had another year. I mean, he's been inconsistent. He makes some really good plays, and then he'll lose the ball in the air at times. And when you look back, you can't lose ground on a receiver, and he does that. A receiver can get behind him, and they really should, ever get behind a guy with his athletic ability. But he's got the bloodlines. Obviously his daddy's a great player at Alabama, and he has got all the tools. He's a big-time corner, and there's teams that when they work him out and all that, he's going to end up being one of the top 5 or 6 corners probably out there. But I wish he had, had another year under Coach Saban. Coach Saban's tutelage, in fact, would help him another year. But he's got the raw skills, okay? But, he just got to, play and refine himself some more now, and he's got to do it in the NFL instead of in college.
Final question. You've watched a lot of film. Jalen Hurts really struggled to throw the football. Do you see anything there that's wrong, or do you think this is just a freshman making freshman mistakes?
Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that under great pressure all year playing in, one of the most high-powered programs, if not the most high-powered program in America, and he came in and did a lot of good things. And, something that when I saw him break loose, and run for that touchdown, late in the game, I thought, man, hey, what a competitor. He had to make that play. There's nothing open there, and he had to get down and make a play. But I think the errors that he had were, just freshman errors and mistakes. I mean, you had the real good freshman, the quarterback over at Florida State, that he had his problems this year too, and things. But I think Hurts is going to be really a good quarterback. In fact, he may be. Once he gets everything squared away. I mean, he didn't always have those easy throws either. They went more vertical. Alabama went a little more vertical than some programs where you're always throwing horizontal passes out there, where it's a quick catch and get up the field where you're jacking up your completion percentage. So no, I think he's going to be fine, and I think that he's going to lead Alabama to some national championships. Just mark my words.